What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. And if you're watching this video, the Toronto Maple Leafs were not able to overcome the 3-0 deficit entering the third period. I'm pre-recording this at the second intermission because that second period was just so demoralizing for the Toronto Maple Leafs. The first 10 minutes in this game was maybe the worst start I've ever seen from a team in Game 7. And now the Toronto Maple Leafs have lost yet again in the playoffs. This is my yearly Leafs elimination video. Steve Dangle has LFR, Leafs fan react. I have LHR, Leafs hater reacts. But I'm going to try to not be biased throughout this video. Obviously, I do revel in the Leafs losing in the playoffs. But yeah, this was nothing shocking with the Toronto Maple Leafs. I would say that these performances are shocking, but they're really not. Game 5, total shit show, just got absolutely dominated. I expected in Game 7 them to lose, but not arguably as bad as Games 5, at least in the first two periods. Maybe they made something. Knowing them, they probably gave this fan base hope and scored 2 goals, and then ended up just hitting 5 posts to potentially tie it up or something like that. But yeah, this really seems like for the first time, we've said this multiple times, but it seems like there is actually going to be change, considering the unrestricted and restricted free agents. Well, they're not going to get rid of Matthew Nyes, but the 2 key unrestricted free agents that they have, the 2 guys that have not risen to the occasion at all come playoff time, that of course being Mitch Marner and John Tavares. Mitch Marner, when looking at him in games 5 through 7, it's just absolutely apocalyptic. This was posted before Game 5 of this series, so you can add 1 assist, 1 point, and add on 3 other different games. So he's at 11 points in 26 games come games 5 through 7. Because you always hear before this season, before these playoffs, oh, he's about a point per game in the playoffs. It all happens game 1 through 4. When the actual going gets tough within these series, he does not rise to the occasion. And John Tavares isn't much better. In round 2 in his career, he has 3 goals, 2 assists, 5 points in 17 games, dating back to when the New York Islanders lost to the Tampa Bay Lightning. They were the far worse team, but he only had 1 goal, 1 assist, was our superstar player. So yeah, those 2. When looking at it, Marner is clearly the one that is most likely to be gone, considering he's going to want a $13 million contract. I don't know how in your right mind you can give him that if you're the Toronto Maple Leafs. I made a different video on TikTok. I think if you're a team that's battling for the playoffs, you give Mitch Marner that contract. My New York Islanders, just because you're not even worried about playoff chokes right now. You just want to get into the playoffs to even have the opportunity to choke come playoff time. But yeah, for Mitch Marner, I don't know how you bring him back. I really don't, considering he's legit bottom 6, 4th liner production come late in these series. Yes, maybe in the regular season your team might take a hit, but instead of giving him $12 to $13 million, you give that to 2 $6 million players that are far better, far more productive in the playoffs. I think it's just truly come to that. John Tavares, I would expect him to probably take a hometown discount. I think he probably feels bad considering he was stealing from the Toronto Maple Leafs basically the last 6 years. His first year of the deal, he was worth that $11 million. But I don't expect Tavares. I think Tavares is going to come back on some 5-by-6 or something like that where you can justify it, even though the playoffs have been so bad. Just some stats I also wanted to run through with this team. 0-5 in Game 7s. The last 4, I don't know if they end up scoring a goal in this game, but they had 1 goal in each of their prior 4 last Game 7s coming into this. So the offense, we talked about last year, I thought the defense was really horrendous, but the offense just does not rise to the occasion come these Game 7s, and it did not come. They have, 10 shots in the first 2 periods as I'm recording this? It is an absolute disaster. In those 5 Game 7s, John Tavares has 1 point. Matthews and Marner have never scored a Game 7 goal. William Nylander, he's been awesome. He's been awesome when it comes to playoff time. I am not lumping William Nylander into this, but when looking at their core 4, they had 29 points against Ottawa in 6 games. Entering tonight against Florida Panthers in 6 games, they had 17. So they just completely vanished within this series, really outside of William Nylander. So it's just going to be a really interesting offseason. If you're a Leafs fan, I don't know how you watch this team in the regular season if they decide to run it back with Mitch Marner. It's just malpractice, in my opinion. John Tavares would make some sense to a degree. Matthew Nyes, give him all the money in the world. He's actually a guy that rises come playoff time. I'll dive into more about what I think Mitch Marner's future could be. I'll probably make a top 10 best unrestricted free agency decisions. Austin Matthews, UFA destinations, not decisions. Austin Matthews, it's tough, man. Are you going to trade him? No, he's your captain. He has no movement clause. His value is near an all-time low considering he was hurt for most of this regular season and played like shit in the playoffs. So you're obviously not moving Nylander. You're obviously not moving Matthews. I think you bring in two good second liners with that money. You spread it out. You cannot give Marner $12.5 to $13 million. William Nylander, who's actually worth it, $11.5, and Matthews as well, especially with the amount the Nice has made this season. There has to be change. Obviously, you're not going to fire Treliving, although Scott Laughton, Jesus Christ, I forgot to mention that. Coming in tonight, 0 points in this series after having 4 points in 20 games with the Toronto Maple Leafs during the regular season. You want to talk about a dud. I mean, gave up, a first in Gurbenkin from Gurbenkin might have been better in this series alone. He still does have another year at 1.5. It's not like he gave that up for a one-year rental, but yikes, Scott Laughton. Brandon Carlo has also been pretty shit this series outside of that butt save on Seth Jones. So I think he went scoreless. I know you don't care about the offense with him, but the defense has also been pretty damn bad. Okay, I'm adding this while I'm editing it. I can't believe I forgot it, but Brendan Shanahan needs to be gone. Treliving, second year on the job. You're not getting rid of him. But the fact that Brendan Shanahan has been here since 2014, he did some good. The Toronto Maple Leafs are in a far better spot now than they were in 2014. But the fact that he got to pick Lamoriello, pick Kyle Dubas, pick Brad Treliving. He should have probably been gone with Kyle Dubas. It is crazy that the guy, the president, that every big move does to a degree go through him. Some of the minor things, obviously, Brad Treliving and the general managers mainly take care of. But Shanahan, I don't know how he's here. That's ridiculous. But I just had to say that because he should probably be the most hated guy in Toronto right now. Back to the video. Morgan Riley. You're not moving him at $7.5 million. Not saying he's some apocalyptically bad guy. He's not a true number one. The thing is, there's no number ones that are going to be available via trade. Like maybe you think about packaging all your future assets, but they don't really have any future assets at this point outside of like Easton Cowan to go get a number one defenseman. But that really doesn't exist right now. What are you going to go get? Erik Karlsson from the Pittsburgh Penguins? Toronto's going to be a perennial playoff team the next 3 to 4 years as long as they have Austin Matthews and William Nylander. But they need a serious core shakeup. I think we can all agree with that at this point. I think I'm repeating myself at this point because when they play these top-end teams like the Florida Panthers, like the Boston Bruins, when they're a half-decent competitive team, they just get dominated. It was really ugly to watch. The amount of offensive zone time that Florida had in those first 10 minutes and just in the second period as well, gross. And this was throughout the series. Even in Game 6 where Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner finally showed up, great defensive effort there. But the offense just doesn't show up late in these series, man. I would say it's disappointing, but it's not because I absolutely love it. And at this point, this core is one of the most disappointing cores in NHL history. I don't think that's an exaggeration to say that. What are we on? Austin Matthews was drafted in 2016. Year 8, year 9 of the Austin Matthews tenure in Toronto. Just an utter disgrace, and Leafs fans genuinely deserve better. I can't believe I'm saying that, but I do feel bad for the fan base to a degree. And I trust Brad Treliving. If it was Kyle Dubas still, I'd be horrified that he would try to just continue to double down on this core. Brad Treliving has now been here for 2 seasons. Kyle Dubas should have traded Mitch Marner when he didn't have a full no movement clause. That was ridiculous. And oh my God, I forgot about the Mikko Rantanen, how he blocked that. If Mitch Marner leaves, man, he might have to take like an 8-year deal at $9 million to win back this fan base because he is going to be probably the most hated Toronto Maple Leaf of all time if he goes and F's off somewhere else and signs a 7-year deal at $13 million and his legacy is just absolutely cooked. So yeah, Toronto, yet another failure, a yearly tradition. And I'm going extra hard on Toronto because I already won so much with the New York Rangers, not even making the playoffs. So I hate the Rangers more than the Toronto Maple Leafs. Before you call me the ultimate Toronto Maple Leafs hater, I care more about the Rangers losing than the Toronto Maple Leafs. But yeah, let me know in the comments, what do you think about the Toronto Maple Leafs losing yet again before making the Eastern Conference Finals? I'm rooting for the Florida Panthers against the Carolina Hurricanes. I'm not going to lie, as a South Florida guy, I want the Dallas Stars to win the Cup, though. Let me know what you think. Yet another yearly tradition of the Toronto Maple Leafs losing in heartbreaking fashion in the first round. I'll be seeing the next one. Peace.